You're watching WRKM Channel 22, number one in the region. Good evening. I'm Ralphie Martinez in Darkness. We are back in the old digs, back in the studio again. After a little bit of a summer break, I was happy to take a little bit of a summer break. It was nice. Bobby had to see some family. I didn't even know he had a family. Good for you, Bobby, having a family. Not many people do anymore. Some people move out to the old big city and they lose touch with them. Because you want to get rid of those country bumpkins. That's the way I look at it. I don't talk to any of my family in Puerto Rico, so why keep up with those people? But Bobby's got a family. He saw him on the Bones during our vacation. We were out there having a good time, hosting some of the summer events really at High on the Hog Barbecue, their big barbecue. Next year I want to film that. We should do a live podcast from High on the Hog. Let's see if they'll let us do it. These headphones, hit or miss. But every now and then I come across something I learn, even when I'm not here, providing an episode for this ravenous fan base of ours. They get so upset when an episode is not released, and I'm like, pump the brakes. I'm but one man, and Bobby's but one intern. I can only torture him but so much. Even I get tired of whipping him into a frenzy. And he does frenzy. You gotta see him behind the scenes. Right now he's running across the studio to fix some other problem to keep this whole thing going. So, be nice to Bobby. Don't blame me or Bobby. Blame the studio, really. Blame WRKM. You fix that other problem? Look, you can't see him right now, but he's winded, poor kid. He's not meant to run that fast. It's a little bit on the husky side. I'm huskier than him, but I'm not one to body shame. Though we have in the past. And we're trying to make up for it by not doing it anymore. But we will do it again. But from time to time, I do learn a thing or two when I'm not here. I learned the meaning of piss poor recently. I didn't know what that meant. I always just thought it was a nice alliteration people would use to describe how poor someone was. But apparently it has a meaning. Back like in the old Dust Bowl era, where at the time they were selling anything they could, but then they would also try to, make leather during that time. You made money, making leather. But leather makers, they need key ingredients, ammonia and uric acid. What is the best place to find both those things that is produced freely? Your urine. You can get both of those things from your urine. So these people would sell their uric acid and their ammonia from their piss to these leather makers. And that's why they were called piss poor, because they were so poor, that's the business they were in. Now, piss poor management, does that come from the same place? Are only goons or loons allowed to run the piss poor management? Piss poor business? I've heard it used several times. Are you equating those people weren't good business people? Because I think they're great business people, actually. If I could sell my urine, I would. Times are hard. But there's a second part to that. Now, there's another phrase. I don't have a bucket to piss in. People who did the pissing usually owned a bucket, a pot, if you will. But some people couldn't afford that pot, so they were so poor, they'd have a pot to piss in. You learn things over time thanks to social media. I learned that from an Instagram reel. What else will I learn? Maybe chemistry. Maybe I can get my master's degree from Instagram reels. Everyone seems like an expert and a professor there. But nonetheless, I had sent this reel to a friend of mine, and we started talking about today. We started talking about the people of today and the society of today. And I wouldn't say a lot of us are piss poor, but we could very well get there. I don't think there's a situation in which people can be selling their urine. I mean, if you can, do it. I don't discourage it. But some people are in dire straits right now. Could we see a rise in that kind of level of piss poor? I think we have. You see the homelessness running around the city. You see places like San Francisco with insane amounts of homeless. You've got Venezuelan immigrants coming up to America thinking there's something here, but lo and behold, there's nothing here. That should be our immigration push, not necessarily arresting them, but just sitting down with them and explaining, hey, there's nothing here. We don't have anything. The people here don't have anything. So what kind of cut are you expecting of nothing? You can't have negative nothing, which is what they will get. It's all about the hope, I guess. The hope of maybe, just maybe, I'm the one immigrant that comes up. Maybe I'm the one that figures it out. But coming from a family of them, let me tell you, the odds are against you. Accept failure. Keep living in Venezuela. Eat those rabbits that you guys are hunting because your economy has fallen apart. That's another thing I learned. People are hunting rabbits in Venezuela because they can't afford real food. Or let's not call it that. Rabbits are real food. Let's show respect to the rabbits. But they can't afford to get meals in restaurants, so they hunt rabbit. The problem with rabbit is it's a super lean meat. So you can never be really nourished by it. So people do die of starvation from eating rabbit. Now, does that sound better than living in America where, if you're lucky, someone throws the McDonald's out in the garbage and now you got a meal? I don't know. The hunting does sound fun. The begging in America doesn't. Because no one's giving out anything in America. We don't have anything here. You know, back in the day, America, or at least what it was promised as, was supposed to be, you know, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But none of those three really exist here anymore. It does for wealthier people and people born on third base. But most people can't have it. Life does not exist. You know, I'm taking these headphones off. These are getting spotty, Bobby. Time to get new headphones. But life doesn't even exist here anymore, to be fair. Because the food is shit. The air is shit. The water's questionable. They say right now we have a rising rate of cancer amongst young people. And when they ask about why could that be, they're like, well, it's probably our diet. Excess salt, saturated fat, refined grains, calories from solid fats, and added sugars. These things, obesity, these things are adding to our cancer spike. So we can't even guarantee life in America, or at least not a very long one. Health insurance is utterly impossible to get, or a good fucking insurance plan. People are one medical emergency away from it being all over, so we can't even guarantee life anymore. Now, liberty, now they're coming after the guns. Now we, don't typically take the pro-2A route, but we do understand that, what are you going to do here? I don't think you can put any more gun control laws than you already have without outright banning guns, and that would just be taking away a constitutional right, which we're a little bit on. But now we got people taking away what you learned in schools. You're no longer allowed to learn the truth anymore. You have to now learn how we view the truth. A revisionist history of the Civil War, if you will, where Grant is accused of scolding the Confederacy, even though the Confederacy were a group of fucking traitors. But apparently, no, they were our brothers and we should have respected them, even though they were enslaving black people. Even though in the fucking compromise we gave them, we said, hey, you want to do Jim Crow, do that. We'll ignore it. Just Mason-Dixon line, baby. We don't do that in the North. You do what you want in the South. But somehow still we scolded them. That's what they're going to teach in red state schools now. Good for PragerU. Good for PragerU for finally figuring out a way to be at least effectual, because, Prager has been so ineffectual for years. So now you don't have the liberty to learn actual facts. When you buy a home, you don't really have liberty there because you're paying property taxes on that bitch. And that's even if you get to have a fucking house, because now companies like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, I know I sound like RFK now, which is really weird, but he's not wrong about this, because I've seen several friends of mine who've been trying to buy houses all fall into the same situation. They think they got the house, and then someone else comes in with an LLC and buys the house. Then you look into that LLC and who they're attached to? BlackRock. If you don't know what BlackRock is, they are one of the biggest financial institutions in the country. BlackRock has been called the world's largest shadow bank in 2020, aiming to restrain BlackRock and other so-called shadow banks. On March 4th, 2021, U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren suggested that BlackRock should be designated too big to fail and should be regulated accordingly. But it's not regulated because it's not really a thing. They've got their hands on everything. They're the bank Illuminati. They're the bank Masons. Good for them. They figured something out. Once again, we do acknowledge that we do love the grifters, but it sucks when we can't get a part of the grift. So if BlackRock wants to sponsor this podcast and take us in, I am in. This podcast can be bought. I can be bought. Dignity is stupid. It is not profitable. Buy me. I'm ready to be bought. Whoever my overlords are is irrelevant. I will not have a control of my destiny anyway. So buy me out. State Street, I'm available too. Available State Street. Vanguard, I don't know. The name sounds too threatening. Scary. Scary to me. But you can't even have the liberty to buy a home or to buy land. Bill Gates is buying up farmland, so now the land's taken from you. Because the thing is, when you own land, you have power. You're a real fucking person. They can't fuck with you when you own shit. But this goes to the idea of, or what the people say the World Economic Forum is trying to accomplish is, you will own nothing and you will be happy. But I don't know how happy you can be. And the thing is, right, they're already starting to sell this agenda. Like the Wall Street Journal recently had an article about people who are going into smaller homes because they're cheaper. And it literally was the title called Goodbye Bathrooms and Dining Rooms. And there were some interesting stats here I'd like to point out. And I have them in my notes. So I will be reading from the notes. People have said, hey, we like when you read from the notes because you have some interesting ideas. Well, here we are. I am reading from notes. And they also make fun of me for reading out loud because I sometimes stumble on words. And they question if I graduated certain institutions, which I did. I'm just a terrible reader when it comes to reading out loud. And you guys are fucking judgmental. Due to record high home prices increasing and construction costs, many Americans are being priced out of the housing market. As a response, home builders are turning to a strategy to build smaller homes as they are more affordable to the potential buyer and help builders' bottom line. In 2018, the average size of new housing has decreased by 10% to 2,420 square feet. Now, I'm not a real estate guy, but that sounds pretty small. Homes with fewer than 3 bathrooms have seen a 9.5 increase in starts. In hotter markets like Seattle, new homes are 18% smaller than they were 5 years prior. Common design shifts, including removing dining areas, bathrooms, separate living rooms, while increasing multi-use rooms such as kitchens, in some cases, the kitchen island serving as the sole dining area. So we're all gonna live like hobbits now. Everything will be multifunctional. You don't ever need to have a dining room where you invite friends over, invite family over. Fuck them. Who wants people in their house? I don't. I never want people to come over to my home because I like my home to be clean and free of other people's germs. Now that's being, I guess, prejudiced towards my family and friends, thinking that they might be germy people, but germs are germs and they can arrive at any time, and I need to be safe. I survived the pandemic and I intend to survive several more, because there are definitely going to be some more. And the smaller my house gets, the less I want people around. So maybe this is the way I convince my girlfriend that we have to buy a small house, the smallest house imaginable. And we can live like hobbits. And those of us who were born around the 80s and the 90s can walk around and tell all the Gen Z kids, I remember the castles that used to be here. The great kingdoms of Galgal. And they used to be big houses. The great kingdom of Musk, the great kingdom of Zuckerberg, they were bigger houses, but ours was small because we were poor. And the Dark Ring came across and told us, no more big houses for you. No more. The dark cloud of black rocks surrounded all of us and said, you hobbits, get in your little hovels. And we did, because we were scared to die. Is that Gandalf? Ian McShane would be pissed. That's not even the right actor, but Ian McKellen. But Ian McShane would have been a dope Gandalf, though. I want to point that out. Like, let's not let my screw up deter from the fact that Ian McShane would have been a dope Gandalf. A wisecracking Gandalf, but a good Gandalf nonetheless. But that's what will happen. We will live like, the Smurfs. Come along with the brokes. Sing along with the poors. Everyone's having fun. We can't afford nothing, but we're having some fun doing fentanyl and drinking because that's all we can afford to do, and we're dying of high cancer rates. That's what we're doing. This could be fun. It doesn't have to be all bad. The trailer park looks kind of cool when you think about it now. The trailer parks are like, yeah, we got this on point. I've always wanted to live in a trailer park, to be fair. I've always dreamed of living in one because Trailer Park Boys made it seem so cool. I lived in the projects. I'm used to living in a small area, and I will continue to be used to it. Maybe that's trauma. Maybe because I never had an expanding home. I never had a backyard. I never had open areas that I just have a very focused way of thinking of survival and never actually thriving into my environment. Those not my family's fault due to economic pressures, because that's all we could afford at the time. This podcast is becoming therapy in a way I did not expect. But we are hobbits and we should be happy. Estridge Homes in Indianapolis offers homes 300 to 500 square feet smaller and $50,000 to $75,000 cheaper than their usual builds. They've reduced some rooms and shifted to more outdoor space. Okay, so they're trying to accommodate. You hobbits can grow your little weeds. Despite the trend of smaller homes, the cost per square foot has risen. It has increased about 2.5% between 2012 and 2020 and jumped 10% to 13% in 2021. Some builders are using methods like off-site construction, building attached homes to further cut costs. And for instance, in Lexington, South Carolina, townhomes of 1,500 to 1,700 square foot are becoming popular as they are more affordable for ownership. And if you think about it, all anyone ever wants to do is own a home. So we've taken the idea of the home and went, hey, we know you want one. Now, can you afford one? But you can get this small one and you can have a discount dream. Who doesn't want to have a discount dream? That's a good way of keeping people's expectations lowered, you'll never get out of the small space you're already in, but you can have a small house. Hobbit living. I wonder if someone watched Lord of the Rings and went, those hobbits got it together. Because, to be fair, Bilbo's house is pretty fly. For a small little spot, it's pretty dope. But he has, if you notice, he has a lot of open space, though. Like his dining room, he's got a dining room, he's got a kitchen. So maybe we just go live in small mounds. Maybe through all this, we'll evolve to be smaller people. Like the little weird creatures they saw in the Time Machine, an H.G. Wells novel that I haven't read since high school. But those haunting little people haunt my dreams and imagination. So you don't have the liberty to own a home anymore. You don't got that. You can't really have what you want anymore. So can you have happiness? Can you pursue the happiness? Doesn't seem like anyone's fucking happy. The happiness index rates us very low. But we've also turned happiness into kind of a childish conversation, haven't we? You want to be happy? You want to be fulfilled? What are you, fucking on drugs? You can't have any of those things. You can't be happy. You're not allowed to. Who said that was possible for you? And to be honest, okay, maybe happiness is the wrong word. Maybe what we should be looking for is, hey, I'm content. And I think most people just want to be content. I think most people legitimately will take contentness over happiness any fucking time. If they knew where the next meal was coming, if they knew their bills were paid, and just everything else sucked, they would take it. Because it's like, at least those things are covered. And happiness, I have to find somewhere else. And sometimes happiness isn't necessarily your job. We get sold on these things. These are your family, and this is who you work with all the time. You should treat them as family. I did that at my last job. I planned the barbecues. I planned the softball games. I was Mr. fucking company. And let me tell you, when I was gone, there were like 3 phone calls that came my way. Wasn't like the whole company was like, damn, we lost Ralph. Shit. That's damn shame. A valued member of our family is no longer here. I got like 3 phone calls, and 2 of them were my best friends. So it's all about community, though. And I think the key is community outside of your job, community in your actual community. We've given that up. We don't even know our neighbors anymore. We don't talk to our neighbors. We don't engage in those kind of things anymore. That's kind of I can say anecdotally, like that's the happiest I would say I've ever been. Well, not ever. That's making it too final. But one of the happiest times I've ever been is when I'm preparing an event or something for other people to enjoy, because it's part of a legacy and it's something I leave behind, and we create memories together. Memories we'll always have. And that's what we're looking for, to create something that lasts. Whether it's a memory, whether it's a tradition, whether it's, something you do as people together to fulfill one another with, hey man, nice seeing you. Don't get a chance to see each other often. How's your life? Here's my life. We pour into each other for a brief moment because all the other white noise is done. And that's kind of where I think happiness comes from. But you don't see too many of these bigger weddings or these bigger birthdays or these bigger celebrations happening because no one can afford this shit. So now you get these little intimate setting things, and that's kind of cool. I kind of want an intimate setting for my eventual wedding, but I'm also highly aware of what I'll be missing out on. Like the big joyous thing. Like, I feel like intimate settings, while nice, it's like, oh man, this is what we could afford. And I hope people are happy with it. And now, listen, I don't think people walk into a wedding judging it, but inevitably people do judge weddings. They do talk shit about weddings. And I often am hyper focused on that. Like, hey, don't talk shit about my wedding. This is what me and my wife decided to do. And that's cool. I know more people getting married in City Hall, and that sounds great because it's all about the situation between the 2 people. They're in love. And if they have a bigger thing later, awesome. And they're choosing how they want to celebrate it. But if the economical situation was different, they probably would have had bigger weddings. And they probably would have had something a bit more to the scale of what their love was. And I think because of our economic situation, happiness is utterly irrelevant. So what we have to look for is being content. So we're just constantly trying to find being content at all times. And it's not life, liberty, and a pursuit of contentness. It's supposed to be life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. But we've turned happiness into a childish concept, into a dirty word. Guys like Ted Gurner, who I want to play this video, want you to look at the world like this.
I think the problem that we've had is that we have people decided they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID, and that has had a massive issue on productivity. Tradies have definitely pulled back on productivity. They have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40, 50% in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. I mean, there's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them, as opposed to the other way around. So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to increase unemployment to get that to some sort of normality. And we're seeing it. I think every employer now is seeing it. I mean, there is definitely massive layoffs going off. People might not be talking about it, but people are definitely laying people off, and we're starting to see less arrogance in the employment market, and that has to continue because that will cascade across the cost balance.
So we should be thankful. We should be thankful that we even have employment and that we have our bosses. Good for them for being so giving, because they gave us a job and it's supposed to give us fulfillment. It's supposed to give us everything we're lacking in the world. This guy literally wants to watch unemployment go to 50% so we can be reminded and reprimanded that we need the job, not the job needs us. This dude's not like an outlier. This is how many of the billionaires and millionaires think in this world. Bob Iger is highly upset that the writers and actors continue to strike. He finds it insulting, apparently. But hey, you know what they find insulting? That over 5 years, you're going to be paid. All you would have to do is give them $80 million a year to cover everything. Now, keep in mind, $80 million sounds like a lot, but that's $80 million from all the companies to cover what the actors and writers are asking for. $80 million. You know how much Barbie just made? $1 billion. Sounds like Warner Bros. Can cut that check. Sounds like a lot of people can cut that check with the millions they make. Then you got companies like AMC, A24, these smaller production outlets, signing deals with them so they can keep production going, meeting their terms. So if A24 can do it in a much more smaller house, why not Disney? Why not Warner Bros. Discovery? Why not any of these other companies? And that's the thing about it. All of modern life really comes down to a simple idea. I want it. You got it. I want it, but I don't want to share it. To me, it should be a very simple proposition. If the employees are happy, then the employer is going to be happy because they're going to bust their ass for them. It's that simple. It's not rocket science. It's not Hobbit magic. It really just comes down to one simple solution. Hey, just pay motherfuckers what they're worth. We, a long time ago, talked about how in America, what America is a gangster's paradise. And everyone wants their piece of the crime. Why can't we have our piece of the crime? And here's the thing. This is where we get into the influencer situation. You have all these like business influencer guys. You see them before, they wear the suits and all that other shit. And they're telling you, well, if you're not getting it, it's because you're not doing enough. But the truth of the fact is, none of these guys tell you, like Ted Gurner, his grandfather gave him money. A lot of these guys started out with money already given to them. So they didn't necessarily work hard for it. They were given it and maintained it. Now, one would say maintaining wealth is a talent, because some people don't. MC Hammer didn't. And that's no shot at MC Hammer. We love MC Hammer here. He's too legit. Too legit to quit. But maintaining wealth is a talent. It's something to be, I guess, respected in a lot of ways. But let's be honest, how many of these guys are actually out there doing it? And all these guys sell you the same thing. You just got to get up and do it. You just got to get up and go out there and make it happen. What's it? Like, what do you mean by it? You know, it, the thing. Okay, but what's the thing? Your dream. You got to make your dream happen. But I don't have dreams because I'm too broke to dream. I am trying to survive, so I don't have time to dream. Well, then you just fucking die then because you're not trying to make it happen. It's like, I'm sorry I was too priced out to dream. But that's the real reality of what's happening around here. It's not that people don't want to dream. It's that motherfuckers can't afford to dream. Motherfuckers really can't afford to dream. You know what your problem is? You're not rich. Go be rich. Okay, cool. I'll do that. And then you got all these other military guys that come through. And now they're teaching you about business. Even though half these military dudes were never once deployed, never once killed anybody, but they're telling you how to pull the trigger. You gotta pull the trigger on what you want, bro. Okay. So that's what we're doing. There's studies being done now where they're calculating people are having naps at work, typically from the hours of 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Because, you know, you have to wake up early to get there and shit. And people aren't sleeping well at night. Why? Because they're anxiety ridden. They don't know what's going to fucking happen tomorrow. They're barely eating that evening. But now they're doing those studies so, you know, the bosses can go and whip the hobbits. Back to work, hobbit. Give me more magic. Make it happen. Do it. Want it. You gotta have it. I don't know what it is still. I'm still very confused on what it is. Is it fulfillment? That's the one thing they never do, right? Like, they never tell you it or the dream is happiness and family and your friends and all these cool things that you do, like, you know, doing a hobby you really like. They never tell you that's the dream. No, the dream is hustle, make the money, monetize whatever you love. And it's like, what if you just love to do something just to do it? Because we at some point had to glorify the side hustle because no one could afford doing anything without having a side hustle. Now it's a person who works 3 jobs, 4 jobs. You know what you're not doing? You're not working 4 jobs, man. And I'm going on vacations because I'm working all the time. I'm working 18-hour days. My wife doesn't see me. My kid barely knows I exist, but I'm making it fucking happen. Okay. So I should work 4 jobs. Good luck fucking trying to get a vacation to line up amongst those 4 jobs. I mean, we just did a story not too long ago about kids working at McDonald's because their parents needed the help. That's some fucking grapes of wrath shit. They're not picking grapes anymore. They're making burgers that probably cause cancer. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Not in this modern life, baby. I was watching Modern Times the other day on the Charlie Chaplin movie. There's a whole section in that movie where he's working in the factory and the boss is offered a machine that can feed his workers while they work so they never have to take lunch breaks. They were talking about this shit back then. 1956. Here we are in 2023 and motherfuckers are still working through lunch. How about that? But the machine like picks him up and like locks him in and just force feeds him stuff. And of course the joke is the machine doesn't work. It ends up feeding him bolts and stuff. But it still is a common conversation that we're still having today. So if they couldn't solve these things in 1956, what hope do we have to solve them now? That got dark. Got a little sad. This is a pick me up to this though. Let's throw a nice little story out there. A woman went to Goodwill and she found a $6,000 wedding dress that was being sold for $20. How about that? A miracle occurred. She said it was God's plan. I disagree. I think that's just capitalism. What's valuable to you means jack shit to someone else. She saw the magic in that dress. Goodwill didn't. Fuck it. Take it. We don't even want it. $20. $6,000 dress. And it's also making me ask questions. Why is Goodwill not doing research on some of this shit? Goodwill could have had 6 G's in their pocket. I guess they're not hustling hard and making it happen. Get to it, Goodwill. Make it happen. But we are looking for a sense of happiness in our daily lives. And they do promise that there might be happiness in the future. When we come back, we will take a look at the new interesting hot topic, 15-minute cities. Pros, cons, conspiracies, all that when we come back on this When in Darkness. Oh yeah, it's the weekend. Don't got much money, but don't mean you can't have fun. Don't mean you can't open up a nice cold brokey. Brokey, cheap beer, cheap people. Brought to you by the Northern Bones Brewery. Welcome back. 15-minute cities. They're the brand new conspiracy theory everyone's worried about. Why? Because, well, they seem out of the ordinary. But as someone who grew up in New York, 15-minute cities actually seems quite normal. I actually was 15 minutes away from the supermarket, my school, not necessarily my job, but other things I needed. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's break down what the 15-minute city is. Here are key principles of the 15-minute city. Mixed land use. The idea that creating neighborhoods where people live, work, shop, and socialize are all in close proximity, which reduces the need for long commutes and encouraging vibrant local economy. Community. People are meeting people. People know who their neighbors are. Hey, I know that asshole. I saw that guy drunk at the bar the other day. Fucking weirdo who's complaining about his wife and his kid. That's the wife and kid? Jesus, I can see why he's complaining. Active transportation. Walking and cycling are prioritized as the primary modes of transportation. This not only reduces pollution, but also promotes physical activity and healthier lifestyles. After I told you what's in the food, don't you think that's kind of all right? I can skateboard through the 15-minute city. Though I'm still trying to lose a bit more weight before I start skateboarding again. Because my balance is off. And I don't want to be embarrassed in front of all the cool kids at the skate park. Because deep down, I still want to be accepted by all the cool kids at the skate park. Public spaces. The concept emphasizes. You see what's going on here? We were doing some good reading alouds earlier. I was reading well earlier. See what's happening? Falling apart. This is not good, Bobby, and I blame you. Public spaces. The concept emphasizes the creation of public spaces, parks, and plazas, making the city more people-centric and fostering a sense of community. That's kind of all right. I like going to the mall. I'm a big mall guy. You take me to a mall, I'm super happy. I like walking around making fun of people. Look at these weird stores. Why is that person wearing that? Is that person really buying those pair of jeans from Zara? Those are expensive. JCPenney's right down the Ave. Go down there. Does your mall have a Jimmy Jazz? That's where I'm used to buying my stuff from. Old Jimmy Jazz. You get the hookup there. New sneakers, new fitteds, new jeans. That's where the hookup was. Will there be a Jimmy Jazz in the 15-minute city? I hope so. I don't know if Jimmy Jazz is outside of the northeastern realm. So for those of you who live in other places, put that in with any other store where the cool clothes were in your neighborhood. But I mean like the real cool stuff, like black and brown people's clothes, not Hot Topic, which is garbage. Reduced car dependency. By providing easy access to essential services, amenities, cities can reduce car dependency and subsequently alleviate traffic congestion and lower emissions. I'm with it. I'm with it. Cars are loud. And man, do they hazy up the sky. Have you seen Los Angeles? Looks like shit over there. And listen, we have so much to gather or gain from this situation. because lowering emissions is good for the environment. Having to walk around and bicycle, that's good for obesity. That's good for diabetes. We're solving a situation. We're making it part of the lifestyle. Hey, it's only a 15-minute walk to work, baby. Only a 15-minute walk to the store, to anything. You're down to walk. You'll make a whole day out of it. You'll walk around each place. And let's figure what you'll start your day off at, hanging out at the plaza, grab something to eat. Then you go to a store, it's 15 minutes. Go to the movies, it's 15 minutes. Go to a restaurant, 15 minutes. Bar, 15 minutes. You now spend at least an hour or maybe a few hours in the 15-minute city. But you've been walking, burning off the calories. I'm into it. Vibrant local economies. You know who your bartender is. I miss going to my neighborhood bar, Gotham City Lounge. Ray passed away, God bless him, but he used to be our bartender, and I knew him, and I would talk shit with him. We'd talk about the neighborhood and go, this place is going to hell. And we'd have like those conversations you only have at the local bar with other people who'd pop in. Like, oh, there's that guy who does heroin a lot. There's that guy who's been cheating on his girlfriend with some other girl and has the balls to bring her here on Thursdays and Wednesdays and bring his girlfriend here Friday and Saturdays. But we don't say anything because it's going to disrupt the ecosystem. Those are the kind of fun you could be having in a 15-minute city. What? Am I wrong? It fosters good social connections because now I'm hiding things from this guy's girlfriend. So now me and him are buddies. He's like, that guy's all right. Send him a free drink on me. And I'm giving him the wink and a nod and the little finger guns. Like, I got you right back, dog. See nothing, say nothing. Or maybe the girlfriend's doing it. Maybe she's got her own little side action going, but I'm not going to say anything because we know each other and we frequent the same watering hole as long as she keeps sending me free drinks. And I will reciprocate by sending a drink back going, we're cool. Your secret is safe with me. 15-minute cities. Do they breed infidelity? Maybe. You're only meeting people within your 15-minute section. So anyone who comes out of a different 15-minute city to your 15-minute city seems kind of cool. That's the cool thing. We'll get more cool people. People will eventually get tired of their 15-minute city and go, I'm out of here. I'm going to try that other 15-minute city. Now you're hanging out over there. See, that's the thing. I live in New York. Leaving from Bushwick to go to Astoria, you were always cool. Because Astoria people were always kind of soft. So you having real Bushwick stories always put you in a higher echelon. Even when you would pop over to Ridgewood, which is the soft neighbor of Bushwick, which some original Ridgewood people would be like, we're not soft, we're actually kind of cool. No, you weren't. Like, you weren't. You were never cool. We were cool. You were cool by proxy. You're welcome, by the way. We did our best for you. But when you would go to different neighborhoods, I'm like, hang out in Midwood. When I was skating down from Bushwick with the guys. Midwood, they got their own little thing going on, their own little tribes. A lot of cute Asian girls were down there, and our Puerto Rican sensibilities kind of worked on them because we knew how to dance, because most Asian dudes can't dance. That's not a stereotype you thought you'd hear, but I'm here to tell everyone that Latinos own dancing. The rest of you are catching up. You're welcome, by the way, because we've given you all the cool dances. You learn our dances to seem cooler. Every white comedy movie has a guy doing some Spanish dance because he wants to seem cool and cultured. But our 15-minute city rules because we got all the cool shit and the cool music. But we do have the life-threatening food. Not good, but it's good for the environment, it's good for community, and everything's close by. Will this 15-minute city be affordable? I hope so. Let's take a look at the cons of the 15-minute city. Increased urban density. To achieve the goal of having essential services within 15-minute walk or bike ride, cities may need to increase urban density. This could lead to challenges related to overcrowding, a lack of green spaces, and potential strains on infrastructure. Now that's a problem. Overcrowding, I already don't like people to begin with. I kind of missed the pandemic in that way when no one was outside. Things were cool then. People were dying, granted, and I understand that, and it's unfortunate. But man, was the city empty, and I could just go wherever I want without being inconvenienced by people. So maybe a 15-minute city may not be what's best for me. And a lack of green areas, I like green areas. I walk to the parks along the waterfront a lot, so maybe that's not necessarily good for me. And the strain on infrastructure, well, we all know about American infrastructure. It doesn't exist. Infrastructure costs. Ooh. Transforming existing cities to 15-minute cities often requires significant investment in infrastructure, including redesigning streets, improving public transportation, creating new public spaces. These costs can be substantial and may take time to recoup. So you know what that means? Taxes, baby. They get raised. You got to pay for the 15-minute city. Now we've got a problem. Because I wasn't told I had to pay for it. If I got to pay for the 15-minute city, now we got a problem. Because I have no money now. I'm waiting to start the next job. So I don't start the 15-minute city tomorrow. Maybe in a few years when I have money, I'll be able to pay into the 15-minute city. But you also notice they also said investment in infrastructure. When have we done that? We barely invest in the MTA, or barely the MTA invests in themselves to make a workable subway system. And they're raising the fare to $2.90 from $2.50. By the time I die, it will cost $10 to get on the train. Mark my words. Heard it here first. Clip this, keep it forever, put it in the Hall of Fame, because it's going to happen. Resistance to behavioral change? Encouraging people to shift from car-dependent lifestyles to walking or cycling can be met with some resistance. I bet. Some residents may be reluctant to change their transportation habits, particularly in cities with established car cultures. Well, New York, I mean, we got a forced car culture. What's his fucking name? Well, not Walter O'Malley, the other one, the evil bastard, the power broker. He's my other enemy besides Alan Dulles. God damn it. No. I know this man's name. He's ruined my life. No. What's his fucking name? God damn it. Can't. Once I find it, it's gonna annoy the shit out of me. Robert Moses, god damn it. That guy gave us a forced car culture because he believed the car was the future. He thought Los Angeles was the template. Look at Los Angeles' air. It's hazy all the time. Unlike us, we're not as hazy, but we're probably as polluted. So maybe he was right. Gentrification concerns. As neighborhoods are revitalized and become more attractive due to implement the 15-minute city principles, there's a risk of gentrification. This can lead to rising property values and displacement of long-term residents. It's already happening, so you might as well do it. I no longer get on the gentrification train because the war is over. Congrats, the whites won. It's over. It's done. No more complaining about gentrification as far as I'm concerned. If you cared, you would have fought a little harder for it. Some of us were on the front lines at protesting shit where the rest of you were nowhere to be found. So gentrification to me it's like the flu at this point. It happens, it comes, it goes, it will come again. Accessibility challenges. Not all urban cities are easily adaptable to the 15-minute city concept. In sprawling cities or areas limited public transportation, achieving accessibility goals may be more challenging. So let's think about like ramps for wheelchairs. That would be a bit more difficult. Redesign things to have, like right now, some of the subway stations are being redesigned with elevators now, like Bedford Avenue. They're redesigning that to have an elevator that comes in and out. So this is some of the stuff they're talking about. Variability and implementation. The success of the 15-minute city can vary depending on local governance, funding, and political will. Some cities may find it easier to implement these changes than others. But here's the thing. Some places have done it. That holds out a little bit of hope. Paris, France. Paris has been at the forefront of the 15-minute city movement. The city's mayor, Anne Hidalgo, has spearheaded initiatives to reduce car traffic, expand pedestrian zones, and create more bike-friendly infrastructure. I don't like bike riders. I didn't want to mention it before because I didn't want to be mean, but I hate bike riders because they put their bikes on the train and they don't really listen to traffic laws, and they somehow always end up on the sidewalk, and it's like you have a whole fucking lane, and they think because they're biking they've got places to be. It's like that movie Premium Rush with fucking wannabe Robin, what's his name? God damn it, another one. Shit. He ruined Dark Knight Rises for me. I'm telling you right now. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, at one time, the hit guy. That was going to be the top guy. They were trying to make him happen. And then he faded away. Because you know what? He looked like a child. And when people go to the movies, they don't want to see men who look like children. They want to see real men. So he was cool for a hipster time in a few Mark Webb movies. But he wasn't cool to be a hero. Even though he was fucking built as fuck in that Don, whatever that movie is that he made. He was built as fuck. But he was never gonna be the guy. Because he has too much of a childlike face. Melbourne, Australia has done the 15-minute city. By focusing on local neighborhoods to create mixed-use zones, Melbourne aims to reduce car dependency. The city's vibrant laneways and parks and public spaces encourage residents to live, work, and socialize. One that's a bit more closer to home, Portland, Oregon. Though one would say Portland's a fucking hellhole of degeneracy. I mean, we all saw how those activists controlled one whole city block and were protecting it with their own guns. And of course, Portland thought it was a great idea. And it shows how we, as Portland, in a liberal democracy, support people with different views. But what it really was lawlessness, drug addicts, and maybe 2% activists, but mostly hippie drug addicts, like our friends in the hate that we talked about in our Manson episode. Bringing it back. Portland, known for its commitment to sustainability, has implemented policies, infrastructure changes to support the 15-minute city model. It features a well-developed network. Well, guess I'm hungry. Well-developed network of bike lanes, public transportation options, pedestrian-friendly neighborhoods. Initiatives like Vision Zero aim to make the streets safer for non-motorized transportation. Well, Vision Zero. Like, you can't be naming shit like that because you give the conspiracy theorists fucking an avenue in. Vision Zero, they want to make everyone blind? Everyone's going to be blind in Portland? Or no people on the streets? Are they going to, like, kill them all? You don't want to do that. You don't want to give them an avenue. Because if I get an avenue, I'm going to do shit. Bogota, Colombia. They're doing it. Cocaine capital of the world. The best season of Narcos. They're doing the 15-minute city. Bogota has embraced a unique approach to the 15-minute city, implementing a concept called super blocks. You could have called that cocaine bricks, baby. Brick mansions. These super blocks restrict vehicle traffic within certain neighborhoods, prioritizing walking, cycling, and public transportation. They create a safer, quieter, and more environmentally friendly urban spaces, which can be used to sell cocaine. So even the cocaine dealers are like, hey man, 15-minute city is not bad. 15 minutes to walk to my clients, or they can walk over to me so I can sell my cocaine. That sounds great. Sign me up for this 15-minute city in Bogota. I don't do cocaine, but I want to get into the crime families and the cartels so I can make money because, as we mentioned in the first half of this episode, my pursuit of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness is not going well here. So I am down to be bought. If the cartels have an opening, I will work for them. I am available at all times. Take me in. Because It's not getting any better here. But there are places doing the 15-minute city already. So should people be worried? It seems to be working out. It seems to be doing some cool stuff for some cool places. Paris is always cool. Except we found that Paris might be a little dirty recently. Melbourne is interesting. They held an F1 race there, so I automatically kind of give them some leniency. Portland, though a hellhole, is doing it. And they're having some kind of success. Vision Zero just sounds really bad. And Bogota is doing some great stuff for their cartel friends. This is good. But some people believe that there is a conspiratorial element to all this. That they want us in these 15-minute cities for a reason. Let's run down some of the ones I found. Global control agenda. Some conspiracy theorists argue that the promotion of 15-minute cities is part of a broader global control agenda orchestrated by powerful elites. They suggest that these elites aim to manipulate urban environments to exert control over populations. Well, certainly doesn't sound like any other American city. Surveillance and data collection. Another claim is that the 15-minute city provides a convenient pretext for increased surveillance and data collection. The theory suggests that a smart city technologies include surveillance cameras, data gathering sensors, and will be used to monitor residents' movements. There is no way they have been monitoring my movements with this cell phone. Now, one bit. I have been free of being monitored. I own an iPhone. So clearly no one's tracking me on Facebook or X or any of the other apps out there that I use on a consistent basis to also check in when I go to the movies, or when I use my AMC app to check what movie theaters are around me so I can go see a movie. No one's tracking my movements when I Google. No one. So I cannot let the 15-minute city do it, right? God damn you, 15-minute city. Restrictions of personal freedom. Critics of the 15-minute city concept within the conspiracy theory argued that if it restricts personal freedoms and mobility, they contend that a shift away from private vehicles and increased reliance on public transportation could limit individuals' autonomy. Okay. Maybe, but they're going to have to provide public transportation anyway. And yes, if they've shut down the rails, you're not allowed to travel somewhere, you are stuck in your zone. That's something they're going to have to figure out. This happens a lot in Final Fantasy VII. For those who never played Final Fantasy VII, the main story is this group called Avalanche. They're a terrorist group, or eco-terrorist group, trying to fight for the planet. And every time they would, cause trouble, they would shut down the rail to that section. So the people in that section couldn't escape. So, okay. Maybe that is problematic, controlling people's mobility. You might have me there. But you can always just walk. The conspiracy theories never think about walking. How about you just walk out the 15-minute city? They were built to be walked around. Walk out. It's like an open cage, really. Centralized control. The theory posits that 15-minute cities would centralize control in the hands of a few, allowing them to dictate where people live, work, and shop. This, according to the theory, would create a higher controlled urban environment. Listen, you already don't leave your neighborhoods to begin with. Like, really think about how often you've actually left your neighborhood, wherever you are. You're kind of already controlled by yourself. You subconsciously don't want to have to go anywhere else. You just want the option to be able to go somewhere else. And I got it. Listen, I am known to be difficult. Mainly because I like to reserve the option of saying the word no to things. I like to say no just because I want to. Or just because I don't want to do something. But inevitably, for the most part, I do the things that are asked of me. I just like to have the ability to say no if I wanted to. So in this case of the 15-minute city, sure, I understand your reservation to not want to have to be going to the same places all the time. It can be boring. But you would like to reserve the right to be able to go somewhere else. That's cool. I can dig it. But that's a choice you have to make. You have to want to do that. A lot of these conspiracy theories always get to, but what if they make us do this? Well, most of the time you're going to do it anyway because they're going to offer you something cool. And you're like, wait, I don't have to leave here? Yeah, you don't. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. Oh, I'm not going to leave. Everything's so convenient. Why would I leave? And that's how they get you. But it's not their fault for making things convenient. It's your fault for falling for the convenience. Is that conspiracy theory victim blaming? I think it is. And I am a conspiracy theory victim blamer. But this is a concept that to me, it can work for certain cities, but it's not going to work for every one of them. It's not. Some cities are not going to be able to pull that off. Like Madison, Wisconsin, I can see them doing it because technically in Madison, Wisconsin, you are walking distance from a lot of things. Like once you're at the Capitol, you can go anywhere. I've been there a few times. That's easily walkable place. Miami, South Beach, an easily walkable place. That could be a 15-minute city. It really comes down to what you think is going down. Do you think the World Economic Forum and its ideas of you will own nothing and be happy? Because you can't own houses in this scenario. You can only have the apartment. Could you own the apartment? That's a question to be asked. But it is a little bit scary that have decided that home ownership is impossible. The traditions of what the American dream are impossible. We need 15-minute cities to get everyone together and create small communities where everything's a bit more convenient. And maybe things will be priced better in your neighborhood. Who knows? But this is the future. This is the future of modern life. We no longer can afford to let you have dreams. So now we have to give you convenience. And you know what? Convenience doesn't sound bad when you consider that dreams were an impossibility to begin with. That's dark. Not a happy way to end the episode, is it? But it is what it is. How do I view the 15-minute city? I'll probably be living in one. Because I'll never be able to own my nice house in the suburbs I've always wanted. I'll never get my don't worry darling life. Minus the plot twist that it's all a computer simulation meant to control the women. I just want the cool house and the cool car. Where me and my girlfriend can enjoy the spoils of doing well in American capitalism. What can you do? What can you do? 15-minute cities, they're going to get you. Maybe it is the solution. Maybe this is how we find contentness. Maybe the 15-minute city is the only way to get to a level of contentness and to remodel the American dream of kind of life, a few liberties, and the pursuit of contentness. Then again, I think we all know how this one is going to end.